I'm going to say something in Spanish that I don't know how to translate to English. It is, para poner un huevo hay que cacarearlo. So I'm sorry for those who can't say that, but we are definitely making noise about the CESANI today. I also have now, we have before lunch or dinner, we have 60 minutes to run through over about 13 projects of the Department of the TIC that have achieved remarkable funding outcomes from the European Union or amounts of money that are incredibly significant. And me, the director, just has to applaud. All right, so we're going to go very fast for these people to have an opportunity to tell us about their project, because sometimes their project is in a niche within the department, somebody's in another campus, somebody's in a, and actually I'm very thankful to them because they make the books look amazing. Unfortunately, the VCR research has left. Let's hope, I was hoping that proportional cofre will arrive for this outstanding year. So definitely we have had an outstanding year of successful funding, and it's my time to thank all those who have done this, and also to back up that we have really a community of research behind. So CESANI is not just a name, there is a huge power, huge amount of talent to grow from this. So unfortunately, I said some order and then people wanted some slides and so on. Some of them are very good at making noise about their project. So I said about 4 minutes per project. Let's see how we go. As people get hungrier, people are going to disappear for the food. So see how we go. Let's start, and what I have is a microphone here. If you want to explain your project from the pad here or from the microphone, hopefully all the slides come true. The order changed a bit. So the first one is Narcís Paredes, and
thank you.
Just give me a moment.
Sure.
Just give it here. And everybody is getting the best book in the world. That's the title of the book. It is about Ramon Llull. Of course, you see the picture there. If you look carefully, he holds a mobile phone and is looking for signal. All right? There is an old computer there, and there's also a modem to get Wi-Fi, and hopefully he will not suffer a cyber attack. So, but I hope you enjoyed the book and you expand your research. I know your project is going to keep you terribly busy for years to come, but maybe this summer you can read something related to science, related to AI, related to natural intelligence, and certainly probably the pioneer of generative AI. I wonder what he would think of me bastardizing a painting about him using generative AI.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the book and for this session. Email is sort of like a meta project because it's a project that will fund third-party projects. We've already done our first call. We have 5.6 million euros to give away. The first winners will be announced shortly. We're just waiting for the final validation from the EU. But the second call has already been open from last Monday last week until mid-August. And we will be funding 15 months projects from single entities, so there's no need for generating a consortium. And they should be funded between 250 and 500,000 euros. We will not be only funding them, we will be supporting them. The 4 universities that generate this pan-European, geographically distributed European Media and Immersion Lab will be providing their expertise and supporting the projects, and also sometimes giving access to our facilities so that they can come to a successful end. And just apart from that, each one of the 4 partners, we also have our lighthouse projects that are trying to show the leading direction for XR in Europe. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, which is very important, which is that we are fostering extended reality projects in Europe. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Now, somebody who gets 3 books. Yeah, you can give away, he's giving away money, you can give away books. So you tell me and I'll move the slides. This one?
Yes, yes. Thank you. So I will mainly explain the first project, and say then 2 words about the other 2. There are 2 European projects and an ERC project. The first one is this, Nemesis and ERC Synergy. It's the first Synergy at the UPF. Nemesis is a goddess that means to give back what is due, and it's about a stroke. So the main idea is really to try to generate new rehabilitation techniques for strokes. As you know, just press, the whole, as you know, I don't need to convince, a stroke is the first cause of disability, at least in Europe, and the second cause of mortality, has terrible consequences. And for some reason, some part of the brain, some millions of neurons are dying because of a blockage in an artery. And the main idea of the project is basically to link this, yes, next one, to link this, press the whole transparent, sorry, I was not aware that, to link a stroke with a sleep research, which seems to be orthogonal, but we discovered previously in between the 4 groups that there are, when something is going, when we get a damage like the one originated by the stroke, there are a generation of slow sleep waves. So the typical type of activity that we observe during sleep was already observed also in other diseases, like, for example, coma. And more importantly for us, was also observed around the regions where the neurons are damaged. And therefore, what we plan is to have a multi-scaling approach, and therefore we are 4 people involved, 1 neurophysiologist in Milan, 1 neurologist in Padova, and 1 neurophysiologist. No, go down. Sorry. I can talk rapidly, but not so much.
Come here, you can.
And the idea is really to study with this consortium in different species, in mice, in humans, in healthy humans, and in pathological humans, or in strokes, and even in slices, how these slow sleep waves are generated and how they are propagated. Because, of course, we can never recover the neurons that are gone, but we can recover a collateral damage which is caused because of the propagation of this slow sleep wave, which is the next slide. As you see here, there is a cartoonized version when we have a damage, that's a black region, but in the regions around the damage, which is called penumbra, is a surge of generation of those sleep waves, and the bad future is that those sleep waves propagate across the whole brain. And this is the main causes of cognitive deficit, perceptual deficit, and behavioral deficit. And this could be recovered. Next slide. The main idea, and is basically our part here, is to use modeling, whole brain modeling, which basically is linking the anatomy, the information about the strokes, with functionality, as evidenced, for example, with EEG or fMRI, functional neuroimaging. And the idea is first to predict the effect of this propagation and to link that with behavior and with the functional consequences of that. It's the first prediction that can be done with this type of models. And the second step, which is this slide, is to use the individualized model in order to design in silico the stimulations. And there we don't have ethical restriction. We can stimulate as we want with all possible protocols and exhaustively. We have all the time of the world because it's in silico in order to restore the functional activity. And we hope that in this way we can, at this individualized level, apply stimulation technique like TMS or electrical direct stimulation in order to awake the brain. And with the brain that is restored at least partially with this stimulation, then we can apply the classical rehabilitations motor techniques, but with an awake. So this is the take-home message. These are the two mains.
And then project number 2.
Yeah, very briefly, as I said, I don't have the time. This is that was a consequence of the Human Brain Project where we were involved. It's finishing now in September. It was a project, as you know, that took 10 years. This is a new project using the eBrain, which is the platform generated by this project, in the context of health. Next, just to say, the main idea is really to use modeling, same type of whole brain modeling, linking anatomy with functional activity, but now in the context of neuropsychiatric disorders, mainly, for example, neurology, Alzheimer is one of the focus, and some psychiatric diseases like schizophrenia, psychosis, and depression. And the key idea, just if I may say one word, is to use a thermodynamic idea. I don't have the time to explain, but it's linked with artificial intelligence. Therefore, I inserted these 2 slides. Basically, the idea is to get information about the hierarchical organization of the brain indirectly. Instead of measuring this directly and fitting that directly, what we do is we use a trick of thermodynamic, which is basically we try to identify the arrow of time of the signals, and we can do that very easily because we measure the signals with the forward version of the signal, then we flip by hand and generate the backward version of the signals, and if we can distinguish that, and the distinction is performed with the deep learning networks, then we can say something about the hierarchical organization of the system. And last project actually is a Pathfinder project. I think it's a new version of the FED project. It's a relatively small project. There are 3 universities involved, Leuven, Budapest, and us. And the main idea is to design really, or to study the impact of high-dimensional electrical stimulation in the visual cortex for blind people as a prosthesis. Of course, we will not try with humans. We do with monkeys in Leuven and with mice in Budapest. And the key idea is, and it's the last slide, is that beyond really the ability of design in which way we need to use this high dimensionality stimulator in V1, we will apply concomitantly again electrical stimulation, direct electrical stimulation in other parts of the cortex in order to promote excitability and to promote the propagation of that information across the whole cortex. As you know, most of the techniques that were tried until now in this field of prosthesis, they are low dimensional and they don't care about the propagation of the signal. So that ends up that the people, they are very happy because they see just a phonon. I mean, just some light. But of course, I mean, the final goal is really that they recover as much as they can vision, and at least they could interpret and perceive some particular forms. And that is.
Thank you very much, and congratulations for successful funding. And definitely you can take 3 books. Don't worry. Give them away. Now, I need somebody who I need to congratulate twice, because he has lived 1 day of his life as a catedrático. Is that correct? So, and if you want to see how the slides go, or you're happy here?
Okay, thank you very much, Vladimir. Yes, it's a very happy period for me. So All Health is an ERC consolidator grant that focuses on the development of digital twins in health. So digital twins is the most basic version, is the representation through models and simulations of body functions that can be virtually actionated in order to see what can happen with a treatment under a specific context, and then you can actionate on the model in order to make the prognosis of a treatment, or to make an advanced diagnostic, or to make a provision of the evolution of the health status of a person. Among the existing technologies, some of them are commercial, none really tackle the emergence of multimorbidity as people age. So where you have a communication among the different diseases, so through the systems. So this is then the objective of this project. So to build an enabling technologies, model-based, in order to capture the communication among different diseases and then find specific biomarkers to assess the subclinical evolution of these diseases. So we can pass, thank you. So this is in a nutshell then the technologies that is proposed. So there are stacks of vertical modelings that represent so the degeneration and the loss of function of different organs that can be assessed clinically. And then this is linked, so in a top-down approach, to the molecular regulation of these organs by using computational biology models. And there are specific so interface model that's linked then to the body-wide model of the regulation of what we call so low-grade inflammation in the body. So that is linked to modifiable life habits that would have cumulated effects so over decades and then ending up so in the synergistic degradation of different organs. So the whole technology is thought to be deployed as a service with interoperable declarative languages, so that at the end of the day, beyond these only 4 disorders, so it can act as a plug-and-play platform where people so developing new models, for example, cardiac models, it is not represented here, so can have clear indications on how to develop an API and then plug that then to the systemic representation of the regulation of person.
Thank you very much again.
Okay, so Spain has this program for centers and units of excellence, which consists of 4-year accreditations that come with 2 million euros and that can be renewed in a competitive fashion. So it has 2 branches. The Severo Ochoa branch, which is for centers with legal entity, and the María de Maeztu branch, which is for units with no legal entity, for instance, university departments. And together, these 2 branches really are not so fast. They really provide a very precise map of the research excellence in Spain. So we were the first engineering department to receive this distinction in 2016, and we are now the first engineering department to have received it twice. So the first time around, what we did with the money was to increase our internal integration. So we funded projects involving at least 2 different groups within the department. And that was a great success, I think, and it has had a very lasting impact. So the second time, the objective is to foster interdisciplinary research with other departments within the university, with special emphasis on all those topics that are connected to this notion of planetary well-being that the university is now deploying. So starting in September, we're going to finance 20 projects involving researchers from the department and from other departments. And we're also going to try to support the new CESANI in everything we can in terms of artificial and natural intelligence. And well, even though I'm the visible face here, this distinction is really a recognition to the entire department. And we should be proud because the evaluations for this program, which are very rigorous and international, indicate that right now, at least in terms of research, we are the best engineering department in Spain. And our mission moving forward should be to maintain or even increase this excellence so that 4 years from now, we can aim at another accreditation. So congratulations to everybody in the department, and let's keep up the good work.
And Vicente Gomez.
Okay, so I'm going to present the EMAE. This is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master in Artificial Intelligence. I was just checking the email that first triggered how to start all this project, and it dates back to June 2020. It was an email from Hector Geffner, who unfortunately left the group and now is in Germany. But that spark triggered what you can see here. So what is this about? This is a master. It's a master that is a 2-year master. It's a research master that is done in the consortium of these 4 universities. So we have UPF, we have Sapienza in Rome, we have Radboud University in Nijmegen in the Netherlands, and we have Ljubljana in Slovenia. So each of these partners, we have done this consortium to start what is known as the MI. So the first intake of students will start in September. And this year has been a preparatory year. We have been dealt with a lot of things with accreditation and many things around that. So the master, as you can see, it comes with 2 types of funding. There's an institutional funding that comes from the European Commission, basically to pay the fees for 100 students. And with that money, we have to basically manage all the master. And also the students get these nice scholarships. So these are like 1,400 euros per month to each of these students. There will be 68 of them, and this will be for the entire duration of the project, which will be 5 years. So the master has 2 specialities. So here you can see the mobility track. The students will start in UPF, and they will do the first semester. And after these obligatory courses, they can choose one of the 3 partner universities, either Rome and the Netherlands or in Ljubljana. And then there will be a summer school in July after the first year. And then in the second year, they have to do the specialization. So there are 4 types of specialization. We have robotics in Sapienza, cybersecurity in the Netherlands, and data science in Slovenia. Here at UPF, we have the specialization of intelligence decision-making. Now, very interesting things that come with the master, apart from all what I said, is that there will be internships also with the industrial partners that we have. So one of the distinguished partners is the UCL, the Center of Artificial Intelligence at UCL, and they will be in charge of organizing the summer school that will be about entrepreneurship and regulations of AI that we have seen that they are very important. And here you can see other associated partners. So as I said, a lot of work behind this, and finally we're very happy that this is finally seeing the light after the tunnel. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, I need Boris and Josep. Don't be shy. I'll call you in 3 minutes if you keep this.
Okay, so Maxar, the goal of the project is to develop a pipeline for maximum quality extended reality content. So somehow it's related as well to the call that funded the European lab that Narcisse was describing. And then there are, to oversimplify, there are 2 different use cases. One is related to the virtual real-time production of cinema. Essentially, now the goal is to film on set with the special effects there as well, as it was pioneered in how is it called? This film. Okay, I'll recall that. That's H. And then the other use case is about massive participation with extended reality in internet games. Next slide, please. Then this is a very ambitious goal, and then essentially we've got very important players. These guys and Improbable, BBC, and Crew are end users, essentially showing this kind of things in broadcasting, in theater performances, in the games that I was describing, and also in live events such as Eurovision contests, etc. Then there are technology providers that essentially are sort of leading in the world. For instance, Foundry provides the compositing software that is used in the films, in the big films in the industry. And we are a couple of public institutions, okay? And then our role there is, in our case for the GTI, is to develop tools that democratize the access to this world, okay? And for
from our side, basically, when we add end users to the pipeline, we need to communicate with them. So basically, we will need to send this kind of extended reality data, virtual reality to the end users. And from the end users, we need to send feedback to the system, which is usually in the cloud, to recompute the contents to stream to the users based on the feedback received. So basically, in this project, we are dealing with this communication loop. And this communication loop basically challenges a lot the networks because we need to provide reliability, but also very, very low latency. And we are focusing on that, protocols and communication solutions that deal with this streaming, but also with attention to the last hop, which usually is wireless, just for the freedom it gives. But again, it makes things challenging, and we try to provide solutions or design new solutions to consider this special case.
Thank you very much. Oh. And I lost track. Oh, Carlos, 2 books. Pass it, or because
okay,
I'm very bad with.
Yes, I can pass. Just go.
Just go down.
Right. So I'm going to speak briefly about two projects. One is first I get the books in case you forget. So the first one is So Big Data, which is part of a series of projects that have been coordinated by CNR in Pisa that are related to research infrastructure. I think research infrastructures are very important for artificial intelligence because if you have been following the news about, for instance, large-scale language models, training one of these costs in the order of a few hundred thousands of euros in computing time. So you need some shared infrastructure if you want to give many researchers an opportunity to even participate of some of the research that is being done. There are also important questions about how to make the data protection the protection of personal data uniformly done across different projects from people with different levels of experience with this. So I think it's a very good idea to try to consolidate research infrastructure and offer it to EU researchers. And our role will be to try to set up a node in Spain of this large research infrastructure. Now, I also wanted to talk about Project Finder. So Finder is a project about artificial intelligence in human recommendation. And it's based around this trend of algorithmic hiring, which is the use of artificial intelligence in sourcing or ranking of job candidates. It's a large consortium. It's a 3.3 million euro project. Our part is like 700K as coordinators. We involve academic partners. We include civil society partners, including organizations that have been working on algorithmic on the impacts of algorithms for many years, and industry partners such as the Adevinta, who manages InfoJobs, and Randstad, which is the #1 provider of human resource services in the world. Our motivation is that increasingly there is a usage of algorithmic tools in hiring. So, for instance, there are some statistics about corporate jobs that used to receive in the order of 120 applicants per position in 2010, now receiving the order of 250 applicants per position in 2021, which means that it's very unlikely that all of those applicants are processed by a human. Most large human resource departments will use some sort of tool to filter and sometimes to rank CVs before even thinking about who they are going, before even reading the CVs. Some artificial intelligence or some algorithmic process will filter some of those 250 applications. And given that discrimination has been shown in almost all applications of AI, this is very relevant. In our consortium, we do not believe that there are context-independent solutions to algorithmic fairness. We don't want to build fairness middleware that you kind of plug into an application and make it fair. And we don't want to produce one more general purpose guideline for responsible AI, because there are, at the latest count, like a couple of hundreds of them. Instead, we want to do contextualized research on the specific application and do it in an interdisciplinary manner. These are our content work packages. We have a theory part, which is mostly handled by people in law and multicultural digital ethics. A technical part that is more centered on algorithms and data, which is about half of the resources of the project. And then we are also going to offer training courses. And we seek to produce standards for the industry, for the human resources industry, to use these algorithms and to procure them, some contributions towards European policy, research, development, training, and awareness. So currently, this is a bit outdated, like by a few weeks, we issue a call for experts, and we also obtained ethics approval for a data donation campaign that actually started last week. And you will see it if you follow the DTIC-UPF account on Twitter, you will see this call for data donations. And I want to ask you now that, given that there are some people, we are doing a data donation campaign in which you donate a CV. Like it can be an old CV, and we ask you to remove your name if you want. And the idea is to produce a synthetic data set of job application materials that can be used. So there is a very strong need for annotated data regarding CVs, and there are very few data sets that one can use for that, and they are very small. So I invite you to go to our website or to follow, or you can click on the link on the DTIC-UPF account and donate your CV to our project.
Okay.
I'll give you
the face of the UPF during the cyber attack. Hello? No?
Yes.
This one.
Yes. So Lullabyte is a Marie Curie doctoral network which involves 10 research centers and universities from Europe, from Sweden, Denmark, Germany, France, and UPF, and which wants to address the possibilities and the benefits of music into sleep. And the idea is we have a very interdisciplinary research team, because this topic has never approached from an interdisciplinary manner. For example, the benefits, the empirical benefits from music to sleep have been for millennia. We don't know when mother mainly started singing lullabies, but this appears to be in all cultures. But however, for example, lullabies are very different in different cultures, so that would bring musicology and data science. There's also psychology, in the sense that many people like to sleep with very weird choices, like there's people that like to listen to heavy metal. And so can you go to the next slide? What are we going to do? Definitely improving sleep with music is a very appealing motto, and when there started to be news in Spanish media, this is from El País, saying that we will find an alternative to pharmacy for improving sleep. Like, the project hasn't started, but like with the telephone game that we used to play when we were kids, in which the information gets degraded at every new step. After that, the TV, the radio were saying, so you found the music that is going to kill all sleeping pills. But so what are we going to do? Next slide, please. Go to the next. So at UPF, we will study closed feedback loop systems between brain and auditory waves. It will not be mainly sonification, but really EEG analysis for extracting some properties and different frequencies bands, and creating auditory stimulation, generating sound and music for improving the induction of sleep or for reaching different sleep stages. For example, we know we will address specifically deep sleep. Before, Gustavo talked about slow waves, which are found in N3 sleep. It has been shown in the last years that this N3 sleep can be increased by applying small by transcranial electrical stimulation synchronized with the delta waves. It has also been, more recently, this has been done with very short auditory stimulation based on small bursts of white noise, but it has never been done combining this, the previous research with all the empiric knowledge we have about music. In that sense, we want to work, for example, with modulation, with filter sound modulation. Instead of applying individual bursts of white noise, we want to work on different modulation, as I said, filter modulation, in order to, which empirically has been found exist in many cultures, like for music for meditation, and that's the main goal. We will work in combination with the center in Paris. To conclude, the project starts in September. It will last for 3 years, and we hope to bring some new knowledge to sleep science. Since this is a day on ethics, I would like to say a word, one little thing on ethics, and a little worry I have about this project. Really, sleep is like our last protection against surveillance and capitalism, and I wouldn't really want to help Google and Amazon to enter our sleeps. Of course, if that would be the problem, the problem, that would mean we would have been very successful, but that's kind of a weird worry I have. So thank you.
Leo?
Okay, so I'll put it there. Okay, so that's here the Resilience project. So this project is rather different from the overwhelming majority of the projects we're otherwise involved in. It is funded by the START program of the European Commission. This program is supposed to foster the collaboration between science, technology, and arts. Now, and the material we're working with, that's sound. And as we know, sound is a very essential component of, let's say, daily life, of our living space. For example, the noise of the cars, or the voices in the bar, or let's say the meditation music, so I'm listening to when I'm trying to fall asleep, and so on and so on. So the idea is to give the artists, the creators, the means, the technologies, in order to move the sound to the multimodal dimension, so to speak. Now, so next slide, please. So, and we're trying to do this in 4 different setups. So the first setup, that's concerts. And the concerts, as we know, so that's kind of more than just an audio experience. It's a holistic experience which involves also the visual experience, the emotional experience, social experience, and so on and so on. So the idea is to give, and we're collaborating with artists, I think that I already mentioned this, so to give the artists the technologies that they can use, for example, immersive technologies, in order to make this experience even have more multimodal, more interactive. So that is that the performers, in this case, so they can incorporate the feedback, the emotions, they receive from the audience in order to create their artwork accordingly. No? So the second setup that's kind of similar, it's targeting in more individual music and dance performances. And again, no, so it's, if we are looking at a dance performance, so it's kind of not only a visual experience. No? So it is, and the music performance, that's not just an audio experience. So we are talking a lot about body language of a dancer, but the question is, how can we translate this body language into something tangible? For example, for visually impaired people, how can they experience a performance? So the next two setups, they are kind of more down to earth, so to speak. So the third one, that's about introducing kind of working with sounds in the context of new generation mobility means. As we know, so electric cars, electric scooters, so they are more silent, they are basically silent, so when they approach us, and there have been many accidents reported. So because it's, the pedestrians just bump into a scooter or because they don't hear the vehicle approaching. So the question is, how can we shape the sound of the scooter, of the electric car? So obviously, there is a lot of social, cultural values coming in. For example, you don't want, or you might not want to sound your Harley-Davidson, electric Harley-Davidson like a Vespa, or your Ferrari like Fiat Topolino. So that is, you need to invest a lot of aspects in this respect. And then the final one, that's about soundscape planning. So city planning, we all know this. So but how do we plan the soundscape of a city? So that is, if I plan a park, so then probably I should also take into account, so the birds singing in this park. So that which influences then would influence the soundscape. Or if I'm planning some high rises, so then between the high rises in the neighborhood, probably there will be some echo which will influence also the soundscape. So this all needs to be considered. So, and we are obviously more on the technical side. So we're then providing, as I already said, technologies, in our case, natural language processing technologies, to artists who will work with our technologies to create their artworks, and architects to create then the future cities. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mikel, I'm going to switch your microphone. I think that one is dying.
It's dying? This one is because of me or because of... This is better. Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I must say thank you, Vladimir, for organizing this session. I think it was a need. Thank you for the book. It was a need for this department in order to show not only the debate, but also the different projects running on. And another thing I must say is that I see some bias on the gender in the presentation. So I feel, in some way, guilty because the only female face we have seen is the Emilia's one. So I don't know if there are more female researchers after me, but. I wanted to say this. So my project, I have only one slide and one joke. The slide is, wait. This is a project funded by the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation. The EIT is organized giving a huge amount of money to communities. This is framed in the urban mobility community. And in these communities, there are research, there are innovation, there are startups, and business going on. And what I learned in that project is that there was a big gap between the research and what we do at universities and what the industry and what the society is demanding. And this is what we propose. We propose to train the people, in that case in the cities and in the automotive industry, trying to teach them on the different deep tech. No? We ran a first project on blockchain, trying to teach them on what blockchain can do and cannot do for the urban mobility industry and for the cities and for the city management. And in this particular project, we work about IoT. So we replicate the same formula, trying to recruit experts from our department and from the other universities participating in this project, and trying to, in a very basic way, trying to teach them how this technology can help them in solving some of the problems they have daily. No? This is the reason of the IoT for urban mobility training. We develop 2 different courses. I was very proud because we reuse another result from a previous project, the NanoMux project. So we use the NanoMux platform, which is a MOOCs platform devoted to train in a very compulsive and short way, using a very excellent resources. So we produce excellent videos and surveys, and trying to have the people engage on that. And basically in this particular project we developed 2 courses. One is Basis in IoT, just to trying to let them know what is IoT and doing examples and doing use cases. And the second one, which is the application for urban mobility. So it's a set of specific cases in order to illuminate them how can they get some advantages and some profit from the IoT. The NanoMux platform got more than 150 professionals trained using these courses from 12 different countries worldwide, not only in Europe, but also in other parts like Asia and United States. And we have 850 participants in all the different activities around. This is, there is a video. Do we have the option to? Yeah, you can click here.
If I can I find my mouse? Oh, come on.
Yeah. Skip yeah. Yeah, I think so. You must agree the terms of the YouTube, if you can. Yeah. Yeah, just push, and I think that this will work. There is no audio, I guess. No?
Basics on Internet of Things, with a special focus on transport, logistics, and urban mobility. But do not panic. We'll introduce you to the emerging technologies through a set of experts without formulas, neither going through the hard science details. Just a comprehensive explanation that will allow you to understand and take strategic decisions about whether IoT systems can be a solution for your industry logistics or city management problems. Welcome to Basis in IoT.
Okay, thank you. So this is the kind of materials we developed. It was the teaser for the first course. And if we can go back to the slides. Yes, and the next one, I think, yeah. Is it running? No? No. Yeah. Yeah, this is a little joke from my side. My suggestion was to change the name of the university to Universitat Ramon Llull, because I think that our spirit that we have seen here today is much closer to the Ramon Llull, what he did, than the Pompeu Fabra. It's not because Pompeu Fabra was not a good researcher or good linguistic, but I think that the spirit of the internationalization and all the what Ramon Llull did is much more in line with what we have seen here. So this is my proposal. I play with the logo of the Ramon Llull, but however, as you probably know, this is already in use, no? And we cannot make this change. This was my contribution to the suggestion of Vladimir to have some tribute to Ramon Llull in some way in this act and basically presenting this kind of book. So this is all from my side. Thank you. And I don't know who is next.
Thank you. I think the music group. Yes, Xavier.
Another man, no?
Yes. Well, my project, this is a very small, and in fact, it's already finished. This is a project, oh, thank you, that is part of Music Care and Music Moves Europe, which are initiatives from the cultural domain, and that this has been very good for us to engage with a lot of music-related institutions in Europe. In this particular project, the idea was to work very much on the context of open science and do something that we normally do not do, which is to engage the society, to engage the different stakeholders, to help us understand the needs of society and the needs of the different stakeholders to define research priorities. So we organize a set of interviews, discussions, and we try to understand the different points of view. Of course, the main focus was AI and music, which the risks are far from the risk that we heard before, but I think it's quite an interesting area in which a lot of the issues that AI and deep learning pose can be explored without heavy risks like the ones we had. So anyway, that's what we did. Okay.
Thank you, thank you. And least but not last, and perfectly in time, Piotr.
Thank you. Can I have the slides? So my name is Piotr Przybyła, and my project is probably the smallest because it's just a fellowship. It's a Marie Skłodowska-Curie postdoctoral fellowship realized here with kind supervision from Horacio Sagion, who's somewhere there. And what we're looking at is what roles do machine learning models play in our modern society. In particular, we know that platforms that rely on user-generated content often have much more content that they can process, especially if they want to filter out content that is undesirable, right? And I'm particularly focused on misinformation, but this also applies to straight-up illegal stuff like bullying, hate speech, and so on, right? So what they do is they use automatic classifiers, usually in some connection with human moderators. They do some pre-filtering or something like that, but they do use neural networks. And neural networks are known for being vulnerable to adversarial examples. So if you don't know what an adversarial example is, imagine I take this great image of Ramon Llull, and then I change a few hundred of the pixels, right? You wouldn't notice any change apart from maybe some slight noise. But then I use this image to fool a classifier that says differentiates between medieval philosophers and cats. And I can make these modifications in such a way that it will be recognized as a cat. And now you don't even know whether I made modifications to this image or not, because there's so few pixels involved. And the same thing can be done with text. I can make changes to the text, just changing one word here, another there. And if the classifier is vulnerable enough, it will be fooled. So let's say my fake news piece will be classified as reliable news. And then the content authors, the ones who distribute misinformation, we know they have their motivations. They're not going to abandon their work just because we say so, right? They have the motive to look for such modifications. So what we're looking to do in the project is three things. Well, 3.5. The first one is to assess the robustness of misinformation classifiers as they are right now, see how easy it is to fool a classifier, how many changes do we need. The second thing is to look for these adversarial examples so that we find them before they do, right? To understand how they look like, do they really change the meaning or not? And here we have two paths, through adversarial examples, through reinforcement learning, and then through meaning preservation. And the fourth one, which was not in the original proposal, but I think it's very fitting to put it there, is to detect machine-generated content. Because we know that now this machine-generated content can be used very easily to generate a lot of text, in particular text that is directed towards misinformation and maybe can get through classifiers. We have some successes on that. I don't have time, so if you have more questions, please find me and ask me hard questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So as head of the department, I apologize for all the others that have successful projects at Plan Nacional and things like that. But we cut the boundary. Otherwise, we would be here until dinner, late night, with all the success of the researchers in this department. Everybody kept to time. So we will have a, hopefully, large amount of food and drinks outside in the foyer. Before I go, I would like to thank Carlos Sierra again and give him a book as well. And the job is easy for me. The job is harder for you. You just have to make 11 million for next year. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the food.